A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahima wa ala ali Ibrahima innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad kama barakta ala Ibrahima wa ala ali Ibrahima innaka Hamidum Majid. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربنا زدنا علما يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلبي على دينك آمين. Today we'll start Surah Al-Qasas. This is the Makki Surah having 88 verses in it. Inshallah, we will complete the Surah in three parts. In the first part, we will complete from verse number 1 till 35. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. Tasim Haruf Muqattat Tilka Ayatul Kitabil Mubin. These are the verses of the clear book. Natlu alayka min nabai Musa wa Fir'auna bil haqqi liqawmi yu'minun. Inna Fir'auna ala fil ardi wa ja'ala ahlaha shi'an yastaz'ifu ta'ifatan minhum yuzabbihu abna'ahum ويستحيي نساءهم إنه كان من المفسدين ونريد أن نمن على الذين استضعفوا في الأرض ونجعلهم أئمة ونجعلهم الوارثين ونمكن لهم في الأرض ونري فرعون وهامان وجنودهما منهم ما كانوا يحذرون. Translation of verse number 3. With the truth we recite to you from the narrative of Musa and Pharaoh for those people who believe. 4. Verily Pharaoh glorified himself on earth and divided the people into many groups. He weakened a party of them and slaughtered their sons, while keeping their daughters alive. He was certainly from the transgressors. 5. We intended to favor those who were weakened on earth by making them leaders and making them successor. 6. And by granting them authority on earth and showing Pharaoh, Haman, and their armies what they most fear from these weakened people. Allah begins the surah by saying, these are the verses of the clear book with the truth. We recite to you from the narrative of Musa and Pharaoh for those people who believe. People are to learn a lesson from the narrative. Verily Pharaoh glorified himself on earth in Egypt and divided the people into many groups. He weakened a party of them, the Bani Israel, and slaughtered their sons while keeping their daughters alive. Pharaoh had weakened the Bani Israel to such an extent that they could do nothing when his troops slaughtered their children. It was already been stated in the commentary of Surah Baqarah that Pharaoh was wanted by astrologers that Pharaoh was warned by astrologers that a child from a Bani Israel will put an end to his kingdom. To avoid the situation, he instructed that all infant boys of the Bani Israel were to be killed. Allah says that Pharaoh was certainly from the transgressors. We intended to favor those who were weakened on earth by making them leaders and making them successors, and by granting them authority on earth. Honor and sovereignty are in Allah's control, and He may accord these to whoever He pleases. Even though the Bani Israels were in a downtrodden position, Allah elevated them and made leaders and kings among their progeny. And showing Pharaoh, Haman, Pharaoh's advisor, and their armies that they most feared from the weakened people. Consequently, the day came when Pharaoh and his army were destroyed in the sea and lost everything they had to the Bani Israel as was predicted. Now I will recite from verse number 7 till 13. وأوحينا إلى أم موسى أن أرضيه فإذا خفت عليه فألقيه في اليم ولا تخافي ولا تحزني إنا أرادوه عليك وجائلوه من المرسلين. We inspired Musa's mother, instructing her, nurse him. When you feel fear for his life, then place him in the river, and neither fear nor grieve. We shall certainly return him to you and make him from the obstacles. وَحَزَنًا إِنَّ فِرْعَوْنَ وَهَامَانَ وَجُنُودَهُمَا كَانُوا خَاطِئِينَ. So the family of Pharaoh picked him up to be an enemy and a source of grief for them. Indeed, Pharaoh, Haman, and their armies were sinners. وقالت امرأة فرعون قرة أعين لي ولك لا تقتلوه عسى أن ينفعنا أو نتخذوه ولدا وهم لا يشعرون. Pharaoh's wife said, "A coolness for my eyes and yours, do not slay him. Perchance he may benefit us and we may adopt him as a son." They had no knowledge. Verse number 10. وَأَصْبَحُ فُؤَادُ أُمِّ مُوسَى فَارِغًا إِنْ كَادَتْ لَتُبْدِي بِهِ لَوْلَا أَرَّبَتْنَا عَلَى قَلْبِهَا لَتَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. The heart of Musa's mother was restless. She would have almost revealed his condition if we had not strengthened her heart to be from those with conviction. وقالت لأخته قصيه فبصرت به عن جنوب وهم لا يشعرون. She said to his sister, "Follow him." So she spied on him from after without their knowledge. وحرمنا عليه المراضع من قبل وقالت هل أدلكم على أهل بيت يكفلونه لكم وهم له ناصحون. We forbade all wet nurses to him from before, and the Musa alayhis salam's sister told them, "Should I show you a family who will care for him on your behalf and who will dote on him?" فَرَادَدْنَاهُ إِلَى أُمِّهِ كَيْ تَقَرَّ أَعْيُنَهَا وَلَا تَحْزَنَ وَلِتَعْلَمَ أَنَّ وَعْدَ اللَّهِ حَقٌّ وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. So we returned him to his mother so that her eyes be cooled and so that she may not grieve and so that she may know that Allah's promise is true, but most of them do not know. So safeguard his kingdom. Verse number 30. So safeguard his kingdom from being destroyed by one of the Bani Israel. Pharaoh commissioned spies among the Bani Israel who would inform him of any boys being born among them. When a baby boy was born, the child was slaughtered. When Hazrat Musa alayhis salam was born, his mother grew very concerned about his safety. It was then that Allah inspired her with the command, "Nurse him. When you fear for his life, then place him in the river within a box, and neither fear for his safety nor grieve over your separation. We shall certainly return him to you and make him from the obstacles." Placing her trust in Allah, Hazrat Musa alayhis salam's mother did as commanded. As the box floated past Pharaoh's palace, his wife spotted it and had it brought to her. When she set eyes on the child, she was overwhelmed with affection for the boy. When she took the child in her lap, Pharaoh's feared that this may be the same child whom the astrologers predicted would destroy his kingdom. He therefore intended to kill the child as well. When Pharaoh's wife sensed her husband's intention, she said to him that the child would be a coolness for my eyes and yours. Do not slay him. Perchance that he may benefit us, or we may adopt him as a son. When she convinced Pharaoh, they decided to look after a wet nurse to suckle the child. Pharaoh did not realize that the child was to be the source of his losing the kingdom. Allah says, so the family of Pharaoh picked him up to be an enemy of a source of grief for them. Indeed, Pharaoh, Haman, and their armies were sinners. Commentators have mentioned that they were destined to be destroyed at Hazrat Musa hand because of the fact that they were all sinners. As all this occurred, the heart of Musa's mother was restless. She would have almost revealed his condition if we had not strengthened her heart to be from those with conviction. If Allah had not granted her the necessary courage, she would have made it known that her child was in the box. However, she was convinced of the truth of Allah's promise to return him to her. She said to his sister, follow him. So she spied on him from after without her knowledge. Allah inspired her to instruct Hazrat Musa's sister to follow the box downstream, which she did. Hidden from the sight of the corpse, she witnessed the entire scene. When Pharaoh and his wife tried to get the child to suckle from various wet nurses, the child refused to take any of them. Seeing them perplexed about the situation, Hazrat Musa's sister told them, should I show you a family who will care for him on your behalf and who will dote on him? When they agreed, she summoned Hazrat Musa's mother, from whom the child immediately suckled. Pharaoh agreed to let her save the child and grow him up, and even paid her a sum of 1 dinar, 1 gold coin, daily for her services. Referring to this, Allah says, so we returned him to his mother, so that her eyes may be cooled, and so that she may not grieve, and so that she may know that Allah's promise is true. That is so that her conviction may increase in Allah, but most of them do not know. That is, they do not know how Allah shows His mercy on people and how He reverses the plots of oppression. Some people have criticized the fact that Hazrat Musa's mother expected remuneration for her suckling, which is supposed to be the duty of a mother. It should be noted that the Quran does not mention this. Therefore, it cannot be verified beyond doubt. However, even if she did accept the wage, it was taken from a kafir without any deception. The fact that he paid the sum happily also creates permissibility for the act. Now I'll recite from verse number 14 till 21. وَلَمَّا بَلَغَ أَشُدَّهُ وَاسْتَوَى آتَيْنَاهُ حُكْمًا وَإِلْمًا وَكَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي الْمُحْسِنِينَ. When Musa reached his full strength and was perfectly healthy, we granted him wisdom and knowledge. Thus do we reward those who do good. وَدَخَلَ الْمَدِينَةَ عَلَى حِينَ غَفْلَةٍ مِّنْ أَهْلِهَا فَوَجَدَ فِيهَا رَجُلَيْنِ يَقْتَتِلَانِ هَذَا مِنْ شِيعَتِهِ وَهَذَا مِنْ عَدُوِّهِ فَاسْتَغَاثَهُ الَّذِينَ مِنْ شِيعَتِهِ عَلَى الَّذِي مِنْ عَدُوِّهِ فَوَكَزَاهُ مُوسَى فَقَضَى عَلَيْهِ قَالَ هَذَا مِنْ عَمَلِ الشَّيْطَانِ إِنَّهُ عَدُوٌّ مُفَصِّلٌ مُبِينٌ. He entered the town of a time when its people were oblivious and found two men fighting. The one was from his people and the other was from the enemy. The one from his own people shouted to Musa to help him against the other from their enemy. Musa punched him and concluded his affair. He said, this is from the works of Shaitan. Indeed, he is an enemy and one who openly misleads. قال رب إني ظلمت نفسي فاغفر لي فغفر له إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. Musa said, O my Rabb, I have oppressed myself, so forgive me. So Allah forgave him without doubt. He is the most forgiving, the most merciful. قال رب بما أنعمت علي فلن أكون ظهيرا للمجرمين. He said, O my Rabb, on account of the favors you have bestowed on me, I shall never be among those who are accomplices to criminals. فأصبح في المدينة خائفا خائفا يترقب فإذا الذي استنصره بالأمس يستصرخه قال له موسى إنه لغوي مبين. The morning found him in the city fearful and apprehensive, and suddenly the same person who cried for help the previous day began calling for his help. Musa told him, "You are certainly a misleading person." Verse number 19. فلما أن أراد أن يبطش بالذي هو عدو لهما قال يا موسى أتريد أن تقتلني كما قتلت نفسا بالأمس إن تريد إلا أن تكون جبار في الأرض وما تريد أن تكون من المصلحين. When Musa intended to grab hold of the person who was an enemy on both of them, the Israelis, said, "O Musa, do you wish to kill me like you killed the person yesterday? You only wish to become a tyrant on earth and have no intention of becoming a reformer." وجاء رسل من أقصى المدينة يسعى قال يا موسى إن الملأ يأتمرون بك ليقتلوك فأخرج إني لك من الناصحين. A man came running from the furthest end of the town saying, "O Musa, really the ministers are discussing about executing you. You leave, I am certainly a good counselor to you." فخرج منها خائفا يترقب قال رب نجني من القوم الظالمين. So Musa alayhi salam left the town in fear and apprehension. He said, "O my Rabb, save me from the oppressive nation." Since Hazrat Musa alayhi salam was destined to a Nabi, Allah imbued him with certain qualities before he left Egypt. Allah says, when Musa alayhi salam reached his full strength and was perfect healthy, we granted him wisdom and knowledge, that is perfect intellect and understanding. Thus do we reward those who do good. Allah then relates the incident of how Hazrat Musa alayhi salam unintentionally kept a copt. Allah says he entered the town, another small village outside the city, at a time when its people were oblivious during the time of siesta, and found two men fighting. The one was from his people, from the Bani Israel, and the other was from the enemy, a copt from Pharaoh's people. The one from his own people shouted to Musa to help him against the other from their enemy. Musa punched him, the copt, and concluded his affair. Because of his strength, Hazrat Musa alayhi salam unintentionally killed the person with his punch. Extremely remorseful at his mistake, Hazrat Musa alayhi salam immediately said, "This is from the work of Shaitan. Indeed, he is an enemy and one who openly misleads." He then submitted to Allah, saying, "O my Rabb, I have oppressed myself to forgive him." So Allah forgave him without doubt. He is the most forgiving, the most merciful. It is the practice of upright people to always seek Allah's forgiveness for any deed that they deem to be improper. There was no Sharia at that time, and hence no question of blood money arose. It was therefore only necessary for him to seek Allah's forgiveness for his error. Hazrat Musa alayhi salam also submitted to Allah, saying, "O my Rabb, on account of the favors you have bestowed on me, I shall never be among those who are accomplices to criminals." He pledged never to assist in sins. This would also include never assisting Shaitan, whose objective is to lead people to sin. This means that he would never respond to the enticement of Shaitan, since this would be assisting him. This verse denotes that assisting someone in sin is as bad as committing the sin. People are generally negligent of this and become agent in various sins. By working in institutions dealing in usury and bribery, they are actually acting as accomplices of these sins. Working for oppressor governments also falls into this category. Hazrat Ka'b bin Ujra rahimahullah ta'ala anhu narrates that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam once told them, I wish Allah's protection for you against the rule of fools. When the Sahaba radiyallahu ta'ala anhum asked who these people were, the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam replied, there will be such rulers after me that the person who believes their lies and assists them in their tyranny is not from me and will have no relation to me. They will never reach me at the horse, Qasas. Narrated by Mishkat, page 322. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has also mentioned the person who assists a tyrant knowing that he is a tyrant has come out of the fold of Islam. Narrated by Mishkat, page 436. Hazrat Uqba bin Amir radiyallahu ta'ala anhu reports from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that the person who oppressively collects taxes will not enter Jannah. Narrated by Mishkat. Every type of employment in which one oppresses others or assists oppressors in haram, Muslims working in such establishments should contemplate their situation and redress the wrongs. Even though Allah forgive Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, he will still be apprehensive to intercede on the day of Qiyamah, saying that he killed a person whom he was not commanded to kill. The morning found him in the city fearful and apprehensive that he may be arrested and executed when suddenly the same person who cried for help the previous day began calling for his help against another Copt with whom he was fighting. Seeing him in trouble a second day, as Musa alayhi salam scolded him, and Musa told him, you are clearly a misleading person. When Musa intended to grab hold of the person who was an enemy to both of them, the Copt, the Israeli, thinking that Hazrat Musa alayhi salam was about to grab him for picking another fight, said, O Musa, do you wish to kill me like you killed the person yesterday? You only wish to become a tyrant on earth and have no intentions of becoming a reformer? Commentators have reported from Hazrat Abdullah bin Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala anhu that Hazrat Musa alayhi salam forgot to say Inshallah, if Allah wills. When he said earlier, I shall never be among those who are accomplished to criminals, it is for this reason that he ended up being an accomplice to the mischievous person from the Bani Israel. When the Copt heard what the Israeli said, he informed Pharaoh and his minister about the murder, and hence they decided to execute Hazrat Musa alayhi salam. A man probably from among Pharaoh's courtiers who had faith in Hazrat Musa alayhi salam came running from the farthest end of the town saying, O Musa, really the ministers are discussing about executing you, so leave. I am certainly a good counselor to you. In response to this warning, Musa alayhi salam left the town in fear and apprehension. He said, O my Rabb, save me from the oppressive nation. Verses from 22 till 28. ولما توجه لتلقاء مدين قال أتى ربي يهدني سواء السبيل. When Musa turned to the direction of Madian, he said, I have hope that my Rabb will guide me to the straight path. ولما ورد ماء مدين وجد عليه أمة من الناس يسقون ووجد من دونهم امرأتين تذودان قال ما خطبكم قالتا لا نسقي حتى يصدر رياء وأبوانا شيخ كبير. When he reached the water of Madian, he paid a group of people watering their flocks. He also noticed two ladies keeping their distance. He asked, what ails you two? They replied, we cannot water our flock until the shepherds return. Our father is an extremely old man. فساق لهما ثم تولى إلى الظل فقال ربي إني لما أنزلت إلي من خير فقير. So Musa watered their flock on their behalf and then turned to some shade saying, O my Rabb, indeed I am needy of whatever good you bestow on me. فجاءته إحداهما تمشي على استحياء قالت إن أبي يدعوك ليجزيك أجر ما سقيت لنا فلما جاءه فقص عليه القصص قال تخف نجوات من القوم الظالمين. One of the two ladies came to him walking bashfully. She said, My father is calling you to reward you for watering our flock for us. When Musa came to the father and related the incidents to him, he said, Do not fear, you are safe from the oppressive nation. قالت إحداهما يا أبت استأجره إن خير من استأجرت القوي الأمين. 26. One of the ladies said, O father, employ him. Instead, indeed, the best person you can employ is one who is strong and trustworthy. قال إني أريد أن أنكحك إحدى ابنتي هاتين على أن تأجرني ثماني حجاج فإن أتممت عشرة فمن عندك وما أريد أن أشق عليك ستجدوني إن شاء الله من الصالحين. He, the father, said, I wish to marry you to one these daughters of mine on condition that you work for me for 8 years. If you complete 10 years, it will be your choice. I do not wish to impose upon you. If Allah wills, you will find me to be among the righteous. قال ذلك بيني وبينك أيما الأجلين كزيت فلا أدوان علي والله على ما نقول وكيل. Musa said, The matter is between the two of us. There should be no force on me with regard to whichever of the two terms I complete. Allah is surely over whatever we say. Hazrat Musa salam left Egypt for a town in Sham called Madian. Madian was not ruled by Pharaoh and no document was required to travel in those times. Hazrat Musa salam had no guide and had never traveled that way before and did not know the direction. However, he trusted Allah to guide him. Therefore, he said, I have hope that my Rabb will guide me to the straight path. True to his expectations, Allah guided him and he safely reached Madian. When he reached the water well of Madian, he found a group of people watering their flock. He also noticed two ladies keeping their distance. The ladies were restraining their flock from mixing with the other flock. They saw to it that their flock did not drink from the water of other flocks, because the shepherds would then beat them away. Hazrat Musa salam asked the ladies, What ails you to? Why are you standing aside? They replied, We cannot water a flock until the shepherds return with their flocks to their fields. Then we will water our flock. Before Hazrat Musa salam could even ask them why they were doing the work for men, they replied by adding, Our father is an extremely old man. Therefore, he was unable to do the work. Their silence after this phrase denotes that they either had any brother nor any husband to help them. So Musa watered their flock on their behalf and then returned to some shade, saying, O my Rabb, indeed I am needy of whatever good you bestow on me. It is the trait of every moment to turn his attention to Allah. When in good and adverse situation, the word good is general and refer to a vast array of things like satiation of hunger, giving shelter, etc. Commentators write that Hazrat Musa salam ate only the leaf of plants on his journey to Madian and was in an emaciated state. When the two ladies reached home earlier than used, their father asked the reason. They explained to him that someone had fed the animals for them and also described Hazrat Musa alayhi salam to him. The father was appreciative and sent one of them to call Hazrat Musa alayhi salam. Allah says one of the two ladies came to him walking bashfully. Ruhul Mani reports that she came with a cloth covering her face. She said, "My father is calling you to reward you for watering our flock for us." Ruhul Mani reports that Hazrat Musa alayhi salam noticed her modesty and was himself modest. Modesty is the natural trait of all the Anbiya alayhi salam. Therefore, he told her to follow him and inform him of the direction so that each of them could be all ease. When Musa came to the father and related the incidents to him, he said, "Do not fear. You are safe from the oppressive nation because they have no jurisdiction here." Furthermore, one of the ladies said, "O father, employ him. He can be of assistance in handling the flock and in other tasks. Indeed, the best person you can employ is one who is strong and trustworthy." By his physical appearance and the strength he displayed when watering the flock, he realized that he was indeed very strong. Some commentators have reported that when the ladies expressed their inability to give water to the flock until the shepherds had left, Hazrat Musa alayhi salam asked them whether there was another well in the vicinity. They told him not there was another well, but that it was covered by a heavy rock, which a few men could not move collectively. He asked them to take him there. When they led him to the place, he moved the rock with one hand. Allahu Akbar. Thereafter, he gave water to the animals and covered the well again. Narrated by Ruhul Mani, volume 20, page 63. His trustworthiness was displayed by the fact that he walked ahead of the lady and was not lecherous. Accepting her suggestion, the old man said to Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, "I wish to marry you to one of these daughters of mine on condition that you work for me for 8 years. I only require you for 8 years, but if you complete 10 years, it will be your choice. I do not wish to impose upon you. If Allah wills, you will find me to the among the righteous in my dealings with you, for I will not cause you any harm or grief." Hazrat Musa alayhi salam replied that this was a result of his dua, becoming now the he would receive not only shelter and a livelihood but also a wife. He therefore accepted the proposal, adding, "The matter is between the two of us. There should be no force on me with regard to whichever of the two terms I complete. That is, I should not be prejudiced if I were to complete only 8 years. Allah is surely a witness over whatever we say." Hazrat Utbah bin Nazar Raziallah Ta'ala anhu reports that Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam once recited Tasimeen, Surah Qasas, to them until he reached the incident of Hazrat Musa alayhi salam. Thereupon Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam commented, Hazrat Musa alayhi salam hired himself for a period of 8 or 10 years for the protection of his chastity and to fill his stomach. Ibn Majah, page 176. Allama ibn Kasir Rahimullah has reported several narrations in which it is proven that Hazrat Musa alayhi salam spent 10 years in the service of the old man and also grazed his goats. Volume 3, page 386. The commentary of Mawahib Ludhaniya reports that Hazrat Fatima Raziallah Ta'ala once told her father, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that she and her husband Hazrat Ali Raziallah Ta'ala anhu possessed only one sheep skin, which they slept on at night and on which they placed the camel's feet during the day. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told her, O my beloved daughter, be patient. For 10 years, Musa alayhi salam and his wife shared only one garment which they used to clothe themselves and to sleep on. If this narration is authentic, it would prove that Hazrat Musa alayhi salam spent 10 years in Madian. Therefore, the doubt expressed in the narration above by Hazrat Utaba bin Nazar Raziallahu ta'ala anhu is most probably a doubt on the part of one of the narrations. Bukhari page 369 reports that Hazrat Sayyid bin Jubair Raziallahu ta'ala anhu once asked Hazrat Abdullah bin Abbas Raziallahu ta'ala anhu, which of the two terms did Hazrat Musa alayhi salam complete? Hazrat Abdullah bin Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu replied, the longer the better of the two, that is 10 years. It is customary among Allah's Nabi to practice what they say. Hazrat Abu Huraira radiallahu ta'ala anhu reports from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam that every Nabi of Allah grazed goats. When the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhum asked about himself, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam replied that he also grazed goats for the people of Makkah in exchange for a few kirat, a type of currency equivalent to a sixth of a dirham. Narrated by Bukhari, page 301. Goats are weak animals and cannot be beaten when they skip about because of the danger of fracturing their bones. Therefore, the shepherd has to be extremely patient with them. Allah made the Anbiya alayhi salam graze goats so that tolerance and patience be imbued in them. It was then possible to tolerate the harassment of the kuffar. Note 1. The Quran does not mention whether the old man fed Hazrat Musa alayhi salam or gave him any payment for the initial service of giving water to the goats. Ruhul Mani, volume 20, page 65, reports that Hazrat Musa alayhi salam arrived at the old man's home. He was sitting for supper when he invited Hazrat Musa alayhi salam to join them. Hazrat Musa alayhi salam said that he would not accept anything in payment of the service he rendered, even if the payment filled the world. The old man told him that the food was not a payment, but it was traditional in their family to entertain guests. It was only then that Hazrat Musa alayhi salam ate the meal. Note 2. Allama ibn Kasir has reported from Hazrat Hassan Basri rahimullah and other commentators that the old man was Hazrat Shoaib alayhi salam. However, many commentators say that Hazrat Musa alayhi salam was born a very long time after Hazrat Shoaib alayhi salam's demise. They have deduced this from a verse of Surah Hud, where Hazrat Shoaib also alayhi salam told his people, and the nation of Lut alayhi salam were not far off from you. Since Hazrat Lut alayhi salam lived during the time of Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, it is not possible that Hazrat Shoaib alayhi salam could be the father-in-law of Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, who was from the later progeny of Hazrat Yaqub alayhi salam, Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam's grandson. Although it was being mentioned that Hazrat Shoaib alayhi salam could have lived for a very long time, which could have allowed him to meet Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, this statement cannot be verified. Ruhul Mani has reported from various commentators that the old man of Madian was Hazrat Shoaib alayhi salam's nephew. His name has been cited as Atharun, Harun, Marwan, or Aweed. Ibn Jarir rahimullah has reported from Hazrat Abdullah bin Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu that his name was Yatrib. Besides these, there are many more opinions. Although the author of Ruhul Mani and Allama Qurtubi rahimullah are of the opinion that the old man was Hazrat Shoaib alayhi salam, Allama ibn Kasir and Ibn Jarir rahimullah say that this claim can be made only when an authentic hadith corroborates it, and there is no such hadith. Note 3. The fact that Hazrat Musa alayhi salam accepted the old man's proposal without hesitation teaches us that one should not be ashamed to accept something of necessity. Even Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam grazed goats for a small sum. Many people feel it below their dignity to do tasks that seem menial, even though they have no alternative. They rather chooses to suffer and accumulate debt than to do such work. which could well alleviate their need. Allah's pious servants do not behave in this manner. Note 4. One of the ladies said, O father, employ him. Indeed, the best person you can employ is one who is strong and trustworthy. By saying this, the lady recommended Hazrat Musa alayhi salam as being fit and qualified for the task at hand. Every task requires a person who is capable of handling it well. The work of keeping accounts will require a person with knowledge of accounting, just as the work of construction will require skills of bricklaying, engineering, etc. Although the Arabic word Kawai has been translated above as strong. It refers to strength in physical, spiritual, and mental capacities. The word Amin, translated above as trustworthy, is also multifaceted. It refers to trustworthiness with finances as well as with time. The person who is Amin will ensure that he completes the required time for which he is paid. He also he is also a person whose wife can trust him completely because he will never even look at another woman with evil intentions, let not cheat on his wife. It has become a trend nowadays for people to shun trustworthiness in employment. An employee will work dignitily only when he is being watched. No sooner is the employer backturned when the employee is busy doing something else. People accept their full salaries even though they have not completed their work for the month. Some people absent themselves with a valid excuse, while others have someone else sign the attendance register on their behalf. All these constitute betrayal and cheating. Astaghfirullah. Employees should ensure that the person they employ must be qualified for the work and should not be satisfied with only academic qualification. People should be employed on the grounds of family relations or after accepting a bribe. Note 5. It is learned from the proposal of the old man that a woman's marriage should not be delayed when an appropriate partner is found. Hazrat Ali Raziallah Ta'ala Anhu reports that from Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that the following three things must not be delayed. 1. Salah when the time has set in. 2. A funeral when it is ready. 3. The marriage of solitary woman when her match is found. Narrated by Mishkat, page 61. Hazrat Abu Huraira Raziallah Ta'ala narrates that Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, when a person whose religious and character pleases you proposes, then do not delay the marriage. If you fail to do so, there shall be rampant anarchy in the world, narrated by Mishkat. Another lesson learned from the old man's proposal is that a proposal from the father should not be regarded as a source of embarrassment. People are wrong to think so. Some ever go to the extent of refusing to the representatives of their daughters in the marriage ceremonies, even though they did not make the proposal. They wrongly feel that a woman may marry only when a man proposes by himself. When Hazrat Umar Raziallah Ta'ala Anhu's daughter Hazrat Hafsa Raziallah Ta'ala Anha lost her husband in a battle and had already completed her iddat, waiting period for after being widowed, when her father asked Hazrat Abu Bakr Raziallah Ta'ala Anhu to marry her, Hazrat Abu Bakr Raziallah Ta'ala Anhu remained silent without accepting or rejecting. A while later, Hazrat Umar Raziallah Ta'ala Anhu made the same proposal to Hazrat Usman Raziallah Ta'ala Anhu, who politely declined the offer. When Hazrat Umar Raziallah Ta'ala Anhu narrated the matter to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he replied, a person better than Usman will marry Hafsa, and a wife better than Hafsa will marry Usman. Thereafter, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam himself married Hazrat Hafsa Raziallah Ta'ala Anha and gave his daughter, Allahu Akbar, Hazrat Kalsoom Raziallah Ta'ala Anha in marriage to Hazrat Usman Raziallah Ta'ala Anha. Hazrat Abu Bakr Raziallah Ta'ala Anhu later apologized to Hazrat Umar Raziallah Ta'ala Anhu for not responding to his proposal, saying that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had already mentioned to him at that time that he intended to marry Hazrat Hafsa raziyallahu ta'ala anha. Therefore, he did not wish to divulge something, but Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him in confidence. He added that if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not marry her, he, Hazrat Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, would have done so. Note 6. I wish to marry you to one these daughters of mine on condition that you work for me for 8 years. It appears from this statement that a stipulated sum of money is not necessary as a dowry meher, but service may be a substitute for it. According to Hanfi school of jurisprudence, a woman will receive the cash meher mithal if a free man agreed to marry her in exchange of a dowry that will be paid in service instead of cash. Although the marriage will be contracted, he will not have to serve her because it will mean a reversal of roles. However, the Shafi'i school of jurisprudence has deduced from the above verse that it will be permissible for a man to marry a woman in exchange of service instead of a cash dowry. This deduction is not valid because the verses did not make mention of service being dowry. The condition of the service was another matter aside from the meher, which we cannot even to certain exist in the time of Hazrat Musa alayhi salam. Apart from this, the service was owing to the old man, not to the lady. The old man said, on condition that you work for me for 8 years. The condition was not that Hazrat Musa alayhi salam worked for the lady. If it is acceptable that the contract was in exchange of the dowry and that dowry was incumbent in Hazrat Musa alayhi salam's Sharia as well, then too the marriage would be contracted because the dowry would then have to be paid by the father. He would have had to pay Hazrat Musa alayhi salam's wages to his daughters as his dowries. However, this would not have been necessary if she had waived the dowry altogether. Note 7. The old man merely said, I wish to marry you to one of these daughters of mine, without stipulating each daughter he was referring to. If someone objects by saying that marriage is not contract without identification, the reply will that the above verse merely contains the proposal. Of course, when the actual marriage took place, the woman was specified. Note 8. The verse does not stipulate whether the old man received consent from his daughter to marry her. It would therefore be incorrect to deduce from this verse that a father may marry his mature daughter without her consent. As the Shafi'i school of jurisprudence maintains, the authenticity of the hadith from which they deduce this ruling has been critically questioned. According to Imam Abu Hanifa rahmullah, the consent of a mature woman is imperative before marriage, without which the marriage will not be contracted. When consent is asked from a virgin, her silence will denote consent. However, a widow and a divorcee have to reply verbally. The verse of the Quran prevent them not from marrying their husbands denotes clearly that a mature woman may contract her own marriage. However, if her guardian is caring and responsible, she should hand over the affairs of her marriage to him. Note 9. I do not wish to impose upon you. This statement meant that he did not wish to add to Hazrat Musa alayhi salam's responsibilities, and also that he would not force him to stay on her another 2 years if he wished to complete only 8 years. If Allah wills, you will find me to be among the righteous. It is learned from this that the employer should be kind and understanding. Neither should he tax the employee, nor should he be harsh. He should overlook any faults and errors of the employee. If he needs to reprimand the employee, it must be done with kindness. Of course, the employee should also ensure that he fulfills the task he at hand with diligence. Hazrat Abdullah bin Umar ta'ala anhu reports that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "Pay the worker before his perspiration dries." Ibn Majah, page 176. Hazrat Abu Hurairah ta'ala anhu reports the words of Allah from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam in which Allah says that He will personally contest the following three persons on the day of Qiyamah. 1. The person who betrayed a pledge made in Allah's name. 2. The person who sold a free person as a slave and then devoured the money. 3. The person who did not pay his employee after extracting work from him. Narrated by Bukhari, page 302. Note 10. Some commentators have mentioned that the old man's elder daughter was Leah and the stronger one was called Safura. It was Safura who was sent to call Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, while some commentators say that Hazrat Musa alayhi salam married the younger daughter. Others say that he married the elder one. Allah knows best. Now I'll recite from verse number 29 till 35. فلما فزا موسى الأجل وسار بأهله آنس من جانب الطور نار قال أهلهم كثوا إني أنست نارا لعلي آتيكم منها بخبر أو جزوة من النار لعلكم تصطلون. When Musa completed the term and left with his wife, he perceived a fire. He told his wife, "Wait here, for I see a fire. Perhaps I may bring you some news from there, nor a brand from the fire, so that you may warn yourself." فَلَمَّا آتَاهَا نُودِيَ مِنْ شَاطِئِ الْوَادِ الْأَيْمَانِ فِي الْبُقْعَةِ الْمُبَارَكَةِ مِنَ الشَّجَرَةِ أَنْ يَا مُوسَى إِنِّي أَنَا اللَّهُ رَبُّ الْعَالَمِينَ. When he reached the fire, a call came from a tree on the right side of the plain in the blessed piece of ground, saying, "O Musa, indeed I am Allah, the Rabb of the universe. وَأَنْ أَلْقِ أَثَاكَ فَلَمَّا رَآهَا تَهْتَزُّ كَأَنَّهَا جَانٌّ وَلَّى مُدْبِرًا وَلَمْ يُعْقِبْ يَا مُوسَى أَقْبِلْ وَلَا تَخَفْ إِنَّكَ مِنَ الْآمِنِينَ. 31. Verse number is 31. Cast down your staff. When he saw it writhing like a snake, he turned on his heels without looking back. "O Musa, come forward and do not fear. You are certainly among the safe ones. Usluk yadaka fi jaybika takhruj bayza'a min ghayri su'in wazmum alayka janahaka min ar-rahib فذلك برهانان من ربك إلى فرعون وملئه إنهم كانوا قوما فاسقين." Thrust your hand in your collar and it will emerge shining white without any disease. And if you fear that your hand will remain like this, attach your hand to your side. These are two signs from your Rabb to Pharaoh and his ministers. Verily, they were ever a sinful folk. قال رب إني قتلت منهم نفسا فأخاف أن يقتلون. Musa alayhi salam said, "O my Rabb, I killed one of them and fear that they will kill me. وأخي هارون هو أفصح مني لسانا فأرسله معي رد أن يصدقني إني أخاف أن يكذبون." My brother Harun is more eloquent in speech than me, so send him as an aside to me to command me, for I fear that they will falsify me. Verse number 35. قال نشد أزودك بأخيك ونجعل لكما سلطانا فلا يصلون عليكما بآياتنا أنتما ومن اتبعكما الغالبون. Allah said, "We shall shortly strengthen your arm with your brother and grant the two of you a power in the presence of which they will never reach you. The two of you and those who follow you will be victorious with our signs. After spending 10 years in Madian, Hazrat Musa alayhi salam left for Egypt with his wife but lost his way. It was dark and cold as they approached Mount Tur. As they drew closer, they saw what appeared to be a fire. Describing the scene, Allah says, when Musa completed the term and left with his wife, he perceived a fire. He told his wife, "Wait here, for I see a fire. Perhaps I may bring you some news from there, or a brand from the fire so that you may warm yourself." When he reached the fire, a call from upon a tree it appeared to come from the tree on the right side of the plain in the blessed piece of ground, saying, "O Musa, indeed I am Allah, the Rabb of the universe. Cast down your staff." When he cast it down, he saw it writhing like a snake. He turned on his heel without looking back. Allah said to him, "O Musa, come forward and do not fear. You are certainly among the safe ones." Showing Hazrat Musa alayhi salam another miracle, Allah said, "Trust your hand in your collar, and it will emerge shining white without any disease. And out of fear of your hand remaining in this condition, attach your hand to your side, after which it will return to normal. These, the staff and the hand, the two signs of your Rabb to Pharaoh and his minister. So go and preach the truth to them. Really, they were ever a sinful folk." Hazrat Musa alayhi salam then proposed two requests to Allah. The first was when he said, "O my Rabb, I kill one of them and fear that they will kill me." The second was that they required someone to assist him in the task. Therefore, he said to Allah, "My brother Harun is more eloquent in speech than me, so send him as an aside to me to command me. I fear that they will falsify me." Allah accepted his supplication of Hazrat Musa alayhi salam and made Hazrat Harun alayhi salam, who was in Egypt, a Nabi before Hazrat Musa, could reach Egypt. Therefore, Allah replied to Hazrat Musa alayhi salam by saying, "We shall shortly strengthen your arm with your brother and grant the two of you a power in the presence of which they will never reach you. The two of you and those who follow you will be victorious with our signs." The author of Mariful Quran writes that the fire was a manifestation of Allah's illumination, which appeared in the form of a fire. It appeared in his form because it is impossible for anyone to see Allah's actual illumination in this world. As Allah told Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, "You can never see me." واخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.